Welcome to the Informator.net.
How you doing, everybody? This is AP. You're listening to the Uncomfortable Truth with AP and Chatty. This is just kind of like one of those emergency type videos. The news is spread everywhere. Almost everyone should know this, unless you're just stuck somewhere in the mall or who knows where there isn't no TV or communication. But the U.S. Just bombed Iran. We took out some of their huge nuclear facilities. And I called this in my last video. I said I knew it was going to be 2 weeks. I knew that was just a ploy. And the reason why I mentioned that was because we did it with Ukraine when Ukraine attacked inside of Russia into their military facilities and bombed the planes and whatever they did with they used the drones. I'm sure you heard that news. And then we did that again. Was it just a week ago or so where Israel we were supposed to have these type of talks with Iran, right? These peace negotiations or to get rid of the nukes or and so forth, and then Israel goes in and bombs inside of Iran. So it was just shaping up that way. So that's why I mentioned that. And now this happens, right? So I'm making this video because I've already talked on social media. I mentioned some things on social media, and people were kind of like didn't understand why I mentioned that I felt uneasy about what's going on, and I just want to make it clear. I feel uneasy not because I'm worried for us. I mean, we have the strongest military in the world. There's no worry in that regard. Our technology is just far more superior than any country. That's there's just no way. Like there's no way to worry about yourselves in that regard. Iran is really nobody if you think about it. I mean, their airspace has been not even been guarded uh, since Israel's been going in there and we've been flying over. So there's no defense there. My concern was with like my last video, which is the prophecy. Now, I need to clear something up. Okay, so with this prophecy, I'm just going to read it to you really quick. It's Jeremiah 49:34 through 39. So 34, the word of the Lord that came to Jeremiah the prophet against Elam in the beginning of the reign of Zedekiah, king of Judah, saying, Thus said the Lord of hosts, Behold, I will break the bow of Elam, the chief of their might. And upon Elam I bring the four winds from the four quarters of heaven, and will scatter them towards all those winds, and there shall be no nation, whether the outcast of Elam shall not come. So what I'm talking about is the first part of this. The bow has been broken. Historically, Elam, is gone. They were destroyed. They were absorbed by the Persians and the Syrians. What I wanted to get to, what I'm getting to is that when it comes to prophecy in the Bible, sometimes it switches to land. So though they were conquered back then, today, when you think of the countries and prophecy today, they're going to have old names in the Bible. So when they mention Elam, we know that's like Iran today. That's what it is, right? Or when they mention Magog, most scholars believe that's Russia. That's where it was, or at least in the area. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. So this prophecy was really never fulfilled in my eyes, according to what I read in the Bible, because they weren't scattered throughout the nations. So when I say I feel uneasy, because I know that though God wants this to happen, okay, so this is supposed to happen. My concern is more or less, um, this is an end time prophecy. That's how I see this. This is a signal that we're getting closer to the end. And I have young children. I have a wife, and many people have that same situation. So you worry for your children, and you worry that you're not going to get to see them grow. And I know, like, it sounds hyperbolic, right? You're like, well, what are you doing right now? Like, there's nothing happening right now, and I totally get that. I totally get that. But things are happening all over the world. Things are happening very fast, and just everything from wars to the culture wars that are going on, and I don't know how anyone can look at that and say things ain't happening. You know what I mean? Like we're not in the signs of the times. So yes, am I okay here in my place where I'm living? Sure, I'm fine. My kids are fine. A matter of fact, they're playing right now in the next room. My like I said, concern is that eventually this is going to lead to more. So what's going to happen next? Okay, right? In this prophecy, what happens next, at least the way I see it, is if and I say if this prophecy is happening, like maybe I'm wrong, like I'm not a scholar, I just read my Bible. Maybe I'm wrong, but from what I read and what I've gathered, this is what it feels like. If this is what's supposed to happen next, there's supposed to be some type of war, like it may not be a big war, it could be a small one. I really don't know. But what happens is the Iranian people will be scattered. They're going to leave. They're going to leave as foreigners into other states. And there is other countries around there, like Turkey, that are worried that there's going to be a mass migration, and a lot of these places they're not equipped to take on all these people. These are not wealthy nations, so there is concern amongst neighboring countries. So in the prophecy, that's what's supposed to happen, that the people get absorbed. They kind of just go everywhere. I mean, scattered, and they kind of go everywhere. And according to prophecy, the four winds. So at least greater Europe and maybe America, people are just going to be leaving. So I don't know how long this conflict is supposed to last, but eventually Iran will kind of like be no more, which in biblical terms, you can look at it as simple as a regime change. And they've been talking about that. So that's why I mentioned on my last video, they've been talking about that. So what I see happening next, what's probably going to happen, is something's going to happen to the Ayatollah. He's probably going to get assassinated, overthrown. Something's going to happen, but he's going to be gone. I don't think he's going to be there much longer. This is the collapse, right? We all heard about the 7 countries in 5 years. I've seen that video a while back. But anyways, the point being is, the people are probably going to uprise. They're going to leave. You're going to have some infighting. They're going to get scattered. And then the third part of the prophecy says that people will come back and they'll be better for it. But it is a close to end times prophecy, because that's what a lot of people believe. Like, not just myself. There's plenty of people you could look up that believe that. So what I'm just saying is that just a little worried in the sense that that time's moving along, and who knows exactly how much time we have left. Yeah, so that's all I'm saying. I'm just worried because I feel like our time is short, and I hope I'm wrong. Honestly, that's it. What God wants to happen is going to happen. I love God. Obviously I do want to see Jesus. Who doesn't want to be in the graces of Jesus? Because there is a lot of suffering around the world. But at the same time, the human part of me, the flesh part of me, is like there is that little bit of selfishness that wants to be around for my kids. I want to see my kids. I want to see them grow, and I want to be with them, because if the day you go to heaven, there's a lot of debating on what happens in heaven. But I heard that we don't, we're not family like that anymore, and we probably won't remember the past. So if you love memories like me, you love being around your family, you love good times. There's a little sadness there when that has to go. So that's all I meant by that. But I just want to bring up this update. That's what's happening in the prophecy. That's where I see it going. You can go back and see the last video, and plus I have the really great article about this. That's even better than probably what I'm telling you. You can look at the breakdown there. And plus, I always say this: fact check me. Use AI. You have all the things, the tools to do it now. Go on AI, Google it up, look for yourself, see what you think. That's what my whole purpose of this channel is, to get you to start looking at these things. So, because I want you to get closer to God. By all means, fact check me. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. I don't have problems with that. I'm just trying to spread information. That being said, please follow, please share. Thank you, and God bless.
Welcome to the Informator.net.